Right, welcome. The Last of Us controversy explained, with a high focus on this element here. Now, before we get into this, a lot of you guys may know we've had copyright strikes and claims and things like that here on this channel, just for simply talking about The Last of Us Part 2. Now, just to update you, because I had a copyright strike, and then shortly after making the video, celebrating things like that, I had another copyright strike. So we haven't won. Sony are still garbage, but this article is way off base, and it's not good. This is on Inverse. I'll leave it linked down below, but this is terrible, and I want to kind of just go through it bit by bit and just pick it apart, and just really show how, like, this argument is just so flawed. Like, it's got nothing really to do with this. Like, it's narratively, like, this, it has a part to play in it, but it doesn't come, that's not from a bigoted perspective. It's not what people are looking at, right? It's narrative. So it's really important to check it out. So let's just simply pick it apart. Who are games for anyway? What kind of people deserve to be depicted in them? Anyone. Literally anyone. It doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter. And this opening here is the entire the argument is predicated on the fact that apparently people are gatekeeping who can and can't be depicted in games, and that's simply not true. I think what you're seeing and dealing with here is just people are sick of an over-representation. They're sick of femininity being eroded from games. There's nothing wrong with depicting women looking like women. But when you get Anita Sarkeesian involved, and you get the white knight scumbag SJWs involved, they don't want women to look like women. And people are sick of that being eroded away. I mean, it's simple. It's an over-representation, essentially, of a fringe part of society, of a very 0.01% of society. And there's nothing wrong with openly just saying, yeah, you're probably being over-represented by now. You know, people don't mind it, people don't care, but it's when it becomes too much, you know? By and large, I don't think anyone cares about, like, pride and stuff like that, right? No one really cares about gay, bi, whatever. By and large, I understand there are people that do, but it's when it's thrust in your face non-stop in a very gratuitous fashion. That's when it becomes a problem for people, you know? And it's the same with this. It's exactly the same with this. No one cares, just a little bit too much now, and people are starting to fight back. That's what it's to do with. And this is what I mean. This entire argument here is predicated on this. The notion that people are gatekeeping it, and they're not. They're not. The gatekeepers are actually those literally eroding it all away, non-stop. There is a small but loud minority. The hundreds of thousands of people watching these videos indicate that it is definitely not a minority of people out there who want to tell you that video games belong to them and not you. Lady gamer, person of colour, not straight, non-conforming. Let's just break that down. Lady gamer, dude, have you seen all the little incel geeks out there that literally jack their jimmies non-stop to all the cosplayers and the lady gamer nerds? They fucking love them. You, son, writing an article on Inverse with this atrocious pixelated graphics in the background. I bet you, sir. I bet you. If it's a dude. Is it a dude? I'm assuming it, but yeah. Oh yeah, Eric. Well, yeah. So yeah, you probably jack your Jimmy too. No one cares. Person of colour. I don't think anyone has said black people can't play games. What the fuck? Like, seriously? Not straight? Again, I don't think anyone has said, oh, hold on a minute, mate. Before joining my CSGO, are you, which way do you swing, son? No one cares, they just want to play a game. That's the thing, these are games. They just want to play the game. They don't want the politics beside it. That's the issue. And it's people like you that are thrusting the politics into it. Non-conforming. Fuck off. They will persistently interpret your opinions about games and desire to enjoy them as forcing an agenda. But here's the thing. In this argument here, are you not interpreting people's opinions? Are you not? Yes. Have you not just done that? Saying, well, it's a minority and they don't like lady gamers, they don't like people of colour, they don't like straight, non-straight, gays, whatever. You've literally just done it yourself. I'm coming at it from an angle of, well, it's an overrepresentation and people don't like it being eroded away. And you only have to have a rudimentary glance of the landscape of gaming to realise that it's happening. But no, okay, definitely. They're just interpreting your opinions, absolutely, and just claiming there's an agenda. Great argument when you've done that just yourself, you utter cockwomble. The latest target of ire among this perennially aggrieved subset of gamers, again, hundreds of thousands of people, mate. It's not a small group. Is The Last of Us Part 2. An April hack of the game's developer, Naughty Dog, revealed a number of major plot points, including the role of Abby, an antagonist for the first half of the game, who becomes its protagonist in the second. Abby has a serious grudge against returning heroes Ellie and Joel and gets her revenge in brutal fashion. I'm not going to go into the leaks specifically. Now, and then this is the other thing, right? A post about the leaks from the right-leaning website. I don't know if it's right-leaning. I've got no idea. But apparently anything is right-leaning these days. You only have to have a whiff of logic and reason and want to have a critical debate. Boom! You're fucking right-wing. Baffling. You just can't question anything anymore, apparently. One angry gamer... I've just sneezed. I'll cut that out, though. One angry gamer bemoans Naughty Dog's woke anti-Christian agenda. Well, but what's wrong with that, right? Like, what is wrong with religious people standing up for what they believe in? Like, you wouldn't say that in verse if it was a bunch of Muslims, would you? You wouldn't be like, oh, hold on a minute, these fucking idiots talking about woke anti-Muslim agenda. You'd be like, oh, they're Islamophobic. I mean, that would literally be your go-to. And I'm sure if I had, again, a small rudimentary glance through your shitbox website, you would have something about Islamophobia. I'm dead certain of it. So you're an idiot. Shut up. What a pathetic argument. People have a right to defend what they believe in. While savouring the dismay of fans of Ellie, a character described as the much-loved lesbian icon for the SJWs who love to sing this game's praises on Twitter, but had no intention of buying the game. Well, is that not true? Like, is that not true? Have games and media not been politicised by people that don't actually consume it? Pretty certain that is the case. So what's wrong with that statement? Yeah, maybe it uses some language that you don't like, but what's wrong with this statement? Nothing. The post concludes with the baseless statement that naturally everyone is losing their minds, uniting in mutual disgust. Well, hundreds of thousands of people are not happy with this game. They're not happy with the narrative at play here. So they are uniting. They are. A mutual disgust, yeah. But this is, again, without looking at the article, you're taking a tiny section of it. What are they in disgust over? The narrative? The terrible story decisions? Probably. As The Last of Us Part 2 leaks spread throughout social media that week in late April, a narrow but distinct thread of commentary. This is the thing. It helps you, doesn't it? It helps you just to belittle it as just this tiny little amount. But it can't possibly be the fact that, when we say, well, yeah, it's definitely people that don't consume anything, and you're like, well, no, of course not. But it has to be this narrow but distinct thread of just small amount of people, isn't it? It has to be. No, there's a lot of people that don't like it. About Abby's appearance emerged. And that's the thing. Broad shoulders, muscular arms, sparked speculation that the character is trans. They did. It started as a meme. I don't think she is. But it started as a meme. And again, it's because of this eroding of femininity. Like, honestly, what is wrong with looking like a woman? There'll be women watching this video going, yeah, no, I don't look like that. It'd be great to play a game where, people look like me in it. Like, what? What's wrong with it? So progressive, right? When people just want a bit... Yeah, I mean, we're talking about representation, right? That's what we're talking about. Despite a total lack of confirmation in the leaked game footage. Yeah, again, because it was a meme. You're inverse, mate. Like, you do gaming, don't you? Surely you should know what memes are. You fucking twat. Citing an anonymous source with unstated ties to Naughty Dog, Australian outlet, the sausage roll. That's total bollocks, the whole sausage roll thing, by the way. So we're going to just breeze past this because this is total nonsense. Now, obviously it says, for sausage roll, this imagined trans takeover of the Naughty Dog series is the latest, most egregious example of an ongoing move by writer and director Neil Cuckman to push a clear political agenda through extremely divisive and partisan plot devices. But they're not wrong, though, are they? Like, even if it's not a trans character, are they wrong? No. So what are you talking about? The Aussie blogger argues that creative lead Amy Hennig's departure from the studio in 2014 was a watershed moment that paved the way for Ellie kissing a girl in the Left Behind DLC expansion for the original Last of Us. But again, isn't that not the thing? As well as the implied romantic relationship between Nadine and Chloe in the Uncharted 4 spin-off The Lost Legacy. But again, is that not the case? Is it not the case? Is it not the case? Has Neil Druckmann not come on record and said, yeah, well, we fired people because they assumed sexism and stuff like this? Really? Yeah. So what is wrong here? What's wrong with the statements? You might recognise this line of argument as an iteration of the slippery slope logical fallacy, which assumes a small first step will trigger a chain of events resulting in a catastrophic overall outcome. Well, unfortunately, we're there. So you're talking about this slippery slope logical fallacy, ladies and gents. But again, it's total garbage. You only have to look around at the outrage that is occurring when femininity is actually depicted in games. So this would work if it wasn't the case. Your statement here about this slippery slope logical fallacy would work if there wasn't a documented history of the outrage from idiots like you of femininity being depicted. Again, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. There was a robot that was changed to looking a little bit feminine in a game. Fucking Twitter lost their minds. People were like, oh my god, she's got hips. Femininity is branded as, like, toxic nowadays. It's as toxic as masculinity. They want women to look like men, and they want men to look like fucking beanpoles. So, yeah, there's an issue at play here, is there not? When femininity is downplayed in games, as is masculinity, but not when it's being, led forward by a woman. Is that not an issue? Tell me I'm wrong. Now, anyway, it continues, right? It's been trotted out to defend all manner of hateful bullshit for decades, even centuries, like segregation and marriage bans. What an extreme example of total nonsense. Really? You're going to do that? People just want women to look like women in their games. They're happy to have characters that look like this, as representation implies. Like, from time to time, no one cares. Literally no one cares. But again, it's the erosion of femininity from games. That's the problem. And these examples are such crap. You give an inch, the argument goes, and they take a mile. But you have. Your argument is predicated on all of this stuff not actually being the case. But it's true. So many examples. First, Ellie kisses a girl. Now every new character in the game is genderless. Okay. But is that not actually roughly the case? Are the women not hypermasculine? Are the men reduced masculinity? Yes. This line of reasoning is known as a logical fallacy because essentially it's never accurate. The example is the game. What's more, this alarmist hand-wringing about the character design in The Last of Us 2 neglects the account for some pretty obvious elements of the story and setting. Of course, yes, we know that there'll be inbuilt universal reasons for them to look this way. We get it. Like, we know that. But that still doesn't remove the fact that femininity is being eroded from basically all media. Now it continues, it says, maybe the characters aren't that bothered about looking pretty or macho, given the constant threat of death due to that whole fungal zombie apocalypse thing, perhaps. Yeah. True, but they look pretty masculine to me. Not everyone who's angry about The Last of Us Part 2 has a problem with Abby or anyone else in the game, maybe possibly being trans. Millions of players, the first entry in the series sold more than 20 million copies, will probably wait to judge the experience for themselves or see what reviews have to say. Even so, several weeks out from its release, there are already enough Abby shitposts out there to merit their own dedicated Know Your Meme page. The overriding message in them is clear. It's bad enough that Abby hurts characters we love, but the memes implicitly deem two things unforgivable. Again, they're memes, so they're a joke. I don't know if you know this about memes, but their intention is comedy. Abby is not conventionally attractive to straight men. Unquestionably, the most important audience for all gamers. But let's break it down. Are they not the majority audience? Yes, they are. So, again, this kind of comment here is real snidey and just pathetic. To say, well, she's not conventionally attractive to straight men, which is not. She's not. She's not conventionally attractive. It doesn't take two fucking brain cells to figure that out. However, again, to then say unquestionably the most important audience for all games. Well, but they are the majority audience. So they are the most important because you want your game to make money, don't you? Yes. Naughty Dog asks players to quite literally identify as a person who is gender non-conforming or trans by making Abby a playable character. Well, again, you're assuming now. Earlier on, you said, no, there's baseless accusations she's not trans. And now you're like, oh, yeah, she's trans. Whatever. One particular post illustrates the first of these, a side-by-side comparison of Abby and Final Fantasy Remake's Tifa, which reads American design versus Japanese design. But again, right, what is going on with the erosion of femininity in games these days? Looks like a normal woman. That is what I would see. Well, that's what I've just seen walking down the street. I just take my dog for a walk. I've seen women that resemble this in some fashion or another with some form of character traits, right? Physical character traits. I don't see this unless I'm in the gym. Like a hardcore gym. That's just a fact. It's an ironic comparison given that Tifa's Final Fantasy VII Remake design had previously prompted howls of censorship from the same corners of the internet after director Tetsuya Nomura said that Square Enix has opted to tone down her unnatural boobs from the 97 version of the game. Just a few months later, Tifa's now being held up. Well, again, is it not wrong to say, well, why are you changing it? Yeah, like it's happy to say, I think it's fine to say why are you changing things. But now but also you can't use them as good examples of still toning stuff down but retaining femininity. I mean, that's fine. And also, her tits aren't in the picture. So it's literally just the face. It's a bad example, mate. Bad example that you're giving. The second is a bit trickier to pass. On the surface, a handful of games are angry that The Last of Us Part 2 asks players to take on the part of a villain who supplants two fan favourite characters. But really, this isn't about Ellie or Joel. No, of course not. Playing as the villain isn't all that new. No, but people wanted to. People wanted to continue the journey. They didn't want to play as a villain. I mean, that is by and large, the majority of the argument here. And also the fact that it's out of character. You're talking about in-universe reasons for characters looking like this, right? Well, there's in-universe reasons for how this character wouldn't get the better on Joel, because Joel has managed to do, and we've seen it and played as it, do very, very fantastic things. Very, very masculine, powerful things. So to be beaten by a woman seems very out of character in-universe. Your arguments are so flawed. So flawed. Now here we go, right? A gender expression sandbox. Unlike other female characters in The Last of Us Part 2 and in most video games in general, Abby is more masculine than usual. Her shoulders are broad with defined biceps. The reveal of a gender non-conforming playable character led many to believe Abby was in fact a trans woman, but there's nothing to confirm that fact. Her voice actress Laura Bailey is a cisgender woman, meaning she was assigned female at birth. The fact that you've said that makes me want to jump through this screen and fucking slap you. She's just a woman, cisgendered. Do you know that's offensive to women these days? They find that offensive to say you're cisgendered. Respect people's pronouns of just being called a woman. Fuck off. Now it continues and says, so Abby probably is too. However, the game still appears to include trans representation in the character Lev, played by trans actor Ian Alexander. The ire from fans about having to play as a possible trans character brings up interesting aspects of video games. How do trans gamers see themselves in the games they play? Okay. For many trans gamers, video games provides a safe space to try on a new look without commitment. Early character creator tools were extremely binary, with not only just two gender options but overly exaggerated versions of the two. While experimenting with gender, this could be intimidating, but it could also heighten the gender euphoria of playing in a body type that fits. Well, ladies and gents, I don't know if you know this, right? Just brace yourself. Games don't have to be a vehicle to play out your gender roles and fantasy. Like, they don't have to be. So if someone chooses not to be, then it's not. I know it's quite a shock to the system, isn't it, to hear this, but it's true. I'm not going to get into the rest of this because, like, this is a long video anyway, and this article just goes on and on and on about how people have to be represented in games and all this kind of stuff. You know, choose your identity, gender identity, formation of video games, like studies and things like this. But by and large, it's just trash. Like, the whole argument is predicated on the fact that that is the issue, and it's not. It's not. And you're talking about fringe minorities and parts of, you know, small subset of gamers who don't, you know, have an issue with it. Well, it's a small subset of gamers that, you know, are looking to be represented all the fucking time. So, look, there'll be a lot of people that go, you're a bigot and all this kind of crap. No, not at all. I have trans friends. I've got gay friends. You know, this is not about bigotry. It's about femininity being eroded. You can comment on one thing without hating the other, right? Like, you can do that. I know it's a shock to the system, but you can do it. But again, these people just screech and go, you're transphobic, or you're Islamophobic, or you're a bigot, or you're this, or you're that. The moment you try to have any reasoned discussion, it's just not worth it. But it really is important to still do these videos here and there, because you have to have a counter narrative. These idiots can't get away with this shit non-stop. Now, I'm not going to leave this link down below because I don't want you to check it out, because I think Inverse is fucking shit. But all you'd have to do is Google Inverse Last of Us Part 2 controversy and it'll come up. Anyway, love to hear your thoughts. Let me know down below. I've been Mr. H. Take care.